Hey all, I am here with my 1984 Ford Ranger project truck. I want to take an opportunity to run through the truck and show you the work that I've done and talk about some of the things I have planned for in the future. You may follow this truck on @ThisOldFordRanger on Instagram. If you don't, give it a follow there. Also, don't forget to give the truck a follow here on YouTube. This truck I purchased on eBay, sight unseen, in Montana. Had it shipped back out east, and did some work to it. I'll run through all that work with you, give you some history on the truck. This truck was a fleet vehicle for the state of California in the San Diego area. Originally, it was there for about 18 years as a fleet vehicle. It was sold in auction and ended up in Montana. So second owner car, and then I'm third owner of the vehicle. So that's a little history of it. The truck originally was all this color. When we had the body work done on the truck, I decided I wanted to go onto the two-tone look with this dark walnut metallic. This is an original Ford color. This is an original Ford color. The only thing I'm missing is pinstriping here, so that's on the list of stuff that needs to get done, is the pinstriping on this truck. I have done the wheels on this, so these are original Steelies that would have come on the vehicle, with beauty rings on them, center caps. So all this was really a rough shell. There wasn't a single panel on this that didn't have a dent or a ding in it. It has the 2.8 liter V6 engine in it with a carburetor. It's not a fuel injected vehicle, it's carbureted. And it's two-wheel drive, so it's a two-wheel drive truck. Nice vehicle. Bit of an oddball though, fleet vehicle. It does have, it's an S, which is the base model, but it does have cruise control and AC factory in it, which generally that wouldn't have come on the vehicle, but because I think it was used by the highway department, they wanted something that, in California, they wanted something that could keep themselves cool, and also for long distance travel on the highway, they'd have the cruise control. So that's why it's got those two options on it. Otherwise, it's a pretty bare bones stock vehicle. Let me take you for a walk around and I'll show you all the bits and pieces. Really refer to this as a restored vehicle. It's more like a rehabilitated vehicle. It was in rough shape when I got it, but it's a good driver. I had a solid motor in it. It's fairly, I wouldn't say rust free, but the body panels, there's literally zero rust on any of the body panels. The bed, no rust. There's some surface stuff on the frame and undercarriage, all like typical stuff that you would see. Nothing like, no holes or anything like that. It's all stuff that could be like sanded away and covered up. But there's just very, very minimum, but you know, very straight. We did take the truck all the way down to bare metal. So there's almost no Bondo anywhere in the vehicle. There were just a bunch of little dents that we went through and pulled out and just sort of tried to straighten the truck out as much as possible. Didn't spend a ton of money getting the truck nice and straight and clean. It wasn't really what I was looking to do. I just wanted something that, you know, I could drive around in and look nice and straight and clean. So the interior, I've actually done a lot of work in here. But it's also where I need to do the most amount of work. It still needs a lot of TLC in the interior as far as I'm concerned. So that's where I'm going to spend the bulk of my time this summer. And I will get into detail on the interior with you in just a moment. This dash cover is a it's just a cover, so it fits over the old dash because the dash underneath is a mess. So you can glue these down. I haven't. I don't know if I will, but it's sitting on there right now. The steering wheel's in really rough shape, in my opinion. You know, the buttons are sort of flaked up, and there's a lot of chipping and stuff. So I'm gonna plan to sort of address a bunch of those things this year. I did replace the floor pan in this. It was really bad. It was like Fred Flintstone. You could sort of see the seam there, where we cut it out and put a new floor pan in it. The passenger side was great. This window was plexiglass when I got it. I don't know, somebody did something to it, and it didn't fit right. The water just poured in, and eventually it rotted out that floor with the rubber mats, and the insulation underneath. The insulation just got soaked, and it couldn't dry because of the rubber mats, so it just soaked through. We're gonna put I'm gonna put rugs in this. So last year I rock guard, whatever you want to call it, bed liner or whatever, sprayed this section of the floor. I don't know if that was a good idea or not. I always planned to put a carpet on top of it, but I wanted something that just evened everything out, that kind of resembled the rubber floor mats. And then I always planned to put carpeting on top of it, so I never really cared about it. I think I'll put some sound deadening down maybe, and then put carpets on top of it. So the seats are rough. There's a cigarette burn. The bolsters are all torn and stuff. I stitched this up just temporary, so it wasn't hanging open. And the seat belts, the holders are all perished and broken. So that's where we're at with the seats. So the seats need to be recovered. They sell kits for these to recover them. I think that's just what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just buy the kit and sit in the living room and recover these some night this summer. The dash is in good shape. I replaced this bezel. You can find these all over eBay. I replaced them. So the stereo is like a cheap JVC. From the 90s. The faceplate pops off on it. It's actually awful. And I did a video a while back where I replaced the front speakers on this and put a new antenna in. So if you want to see those videos, you can go watch back at them. I think what I'm going to do on this is put a retro sound radio. I don't know what company it is that produces it. There's a few out there, but there's one in particular that I've got my eye on that I think I'm going to replace that with. And then they sell speakers that you can put under the seats that mount to the floor. So I think once I put the carpets in, I'll run the speaker wire to the under the seats, and then I will put speakers in under the passenger and driver's seat. There's enough clearance there. It's really tight behind the seat here to put anything behind it. It's just not going to work out. The truck does have air conditioning. That does not work. It blows air, but it doesn't blow air conditioning. So that needs to be addressed at some point, but it's on the short list. Also, the cigarette lighter doesn't work. Upside down. That also is on the short list. The truck originally had a light on the roof of it, which we deleted, but they had drilled a hole there for the switch, which was the switch right there. So I'm just gonna get a dummy switch and put a light there, not a switch, but something just to fill the hole, and maybe paint it black or brown or something so it blends in. But that's what's going on with that. The truck is a C3 automatic, and this boot is broken right here. So I've been looking for a replacement. Now the piece of plastic is behind it, so I can theoretically fix it, I think. But I don't know, I may just replace it. I've got to figure out how to, and I need to paint this, but I've got to figure out how to take this off so I can take this off, so I can put the carpeting in. I don't know. So if you've ever taken one of these off, drop it in the comments and let me know. I think this comes off, and maybe there's a compression screw in there. I'm not sure. But if you've ever done one of those, let me know. So the door cards I got from eBay, and I got them for like no money, and they're in really good shape. They're the driver's side's a little wrinkled on the bottom, but like nowhere near as bad as the one I had in it before. There is a little stain there, and there's a hole over here, right there, there's a hole. So those need to be repaired. I'm going to try and repair that hole myself and see how it comes out. Hopefully it comes out good. The kick panels were a mess. I dyed them. I got out from LMC like a spray-on dye, and they came out awesome. They're like brand new, and I really like the color, but it doesn't match this doesn't match this, that doesn't match that, so nothing matches. So I think what I'm gonna do is I am going to dye this, and then paint this silver line. I'm gonna dye this. I'm gonna dye around these, and I'm gonna dye all of this and this so that it all matches the kick pans, and then everything should look correct. And then this will just be a darker color down here. I don't know, we'll see. But I'll make videos of all this stuff this summer, so we'll see how it all comes out. But I've already bought enough dye to dye whatever I want to paint, dye whatever it is. So I replaced the whole speedometer and gauge cluster last year, because the speedometer I had was like, it was like a trampoline. It was just so bad. You couldn't even tell what speed you were going. So I replaced this whole thing. I got it on eBay from somewhere, but so I replaced that whole deal. So that's brand new. Bezel's brand new. Steering wheel's in rough shape, but I did replace this because the one that was in it was broken. So new door cards. I got new pedal pads from LMC Truck. And man, this truck is filthy. But aside from that, it blows nice hot air. Everything else works except for that air conditioning and the lighter. So we'll get the lighter fixed anyways, and then everything in the cab will work. So this truck does have a steel headliner, and there's no trim around the door. The only trim, it stops there, and it stops there. So this, I'm afraid to put a screw in here because I'm afraid it's gonna crack, and I've already repaired all of this and glued it together, and it needs to be dyed to match. And then that one's just completely broken. So if you have an old Ranger, I don't care what color the interior is, kicking around in your backyard, and it has a steel headliner, and you have the passenger side A-pillar trim, give me a drop in the comments. All the chrome on this truck came from LMC Truck. So grill, bumper, the side view mirrors, and the rear bumper all came from LMC Truck. Now, LMC Truck does not sell the grills anymore, so that's a big bummer. And I know I get a lot of people asking me where I got my nice grill, and I got it from LMC, but they don't sell them anymore, so you're out of luck. So the wheel and tire combo, so I got the wheels from a pawn shop. I found they've had them on Facebook Marketplace down in Connecticut, so I drove down and grabbed them, and I paid $50 for all 4 of them. And they were in rough shape, and I refinished them, and they look great. They are 15-inch Steelies. They're stamped with Ford. They would have come on this truck as 14 inches. So The tires are Milestar. They are P215 70 R15s. So that's the tire, and they're a pinwall, white pinwall tire that I got at Town Fair Tire in Burlington, Massachusetts. So that's the wheel and tire combo. They're filthy right now. They need to be cleaned up, but they are dirty. But they do look good when they're all cleaned up. So a few things in the engine compartment. I think it's pretty clean. I've had some issues, like, I'm not gonna lie, there's been some problems. We had a whole bunch of electrical issues. I almost burned the whole truck. The whole truck almost burned to the ground. We had a electrical fire in the harness here, and that's all been replaced and cleaned up, and is in good shape. This truck is Duraspark, so it does have a Duraspark ignition in it. Originally it would have had what was Ford's EMC2, I believe it's called, which was an electronic ignition system that just, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it's not great. So at some point, I didn't Duraspark this car, but somebody else did. So they replaced the carburetor, the distributor, the ignition system there, and all that. So it works good. I try not to muck with it. I don't want to do a lot to this truck if it's running and going, aside from change the fluids and keep it moving forward. So I don't want to make, I'm afraid to get into it too deep and end up having to mess with the whole thing. So it's been running good. I have no idea how many miles are on it. The odometer read like 71. It could have 171, 271, 371. I have no idea. Like I said, I don't mess with it much. When they Durasparked it, they were able to pull out a lot of this electronic stuff that was in here, vacuum system stuff that was in here. So that sort of cleaned things up a little bit, I guess, as far as that's concerned. But so it doesn't look exactly as it should have or would have out of the factory, but I've done other things to the truck to mess with it, so I'm not really too concerned with any of that. So what have we done under here? Not too much, honestly, not a lot. I put a new alternator in it, that new battery, we did that. Had the carburetor rebuilt on it. That seems to be doing a good job. Fluids changed. So I replaced this. This was missing when I got the truck. So we get that taken care of. I found that in a junkyard, maybe Ohio, on eBay. Somebody sent this to me. This was a gift. One of my followers on Instagram sent it to me. That was very nice of them. This was missing the air intake. This was missing. I found this again on eBay somewhere. I'm missing the battery hold down that goes across here and holds the battery down. I'm using a bungee cord right now, which is fine because this battery is a smaller battery than what would have come in it from the factory anyways, so it works out fine. But at any rate, if anybody has the original battery hold down that goes here, drop me a note in the comments, okay? So in general, like I said, try not to do a lot under here. Trying to just keep it moving forward, reverse, left and right, and not muck around with it too much. I don't want to get it broken. I think about the only thing that I might have messed with is get the air conditioning figured out, because I'd like to have air conditioning in it. Other than that, I don't want to mess with it too much. So the tonneau cover I got from Gator, and it's a trifold. It's a nice tonneau cover. It's a rigid tonneau cover. It's got a metal frame to it, and it just snaps in. It takes like 4 minutes to put it in tops, and it's been good. I've had it for like 4 years. I haven't had any issues with it. This truck does sit outside, mostly under the shade, and it has a cover on it most of the time, but it doesn't get a lot of love being in a garage or anything like that. And we are in New England, so we get some rain and snow and wind and sleet. So what parts are on my list this summer? So rugs, sills for here, sill guards. I did this is passenger side. Seal, I need to do the driver's side seal. Seat cover, stereo. Then dye all this stuff so it all matches. That's about everything that I have planned for this summer, is just to get the interior cleaned up, and maybe if we get ambitious, pinstripe. If I can find somebody if anybody out there does hand pinstriping and lives in New England, Massachusetts area and wants to do it, drop it in the comments. Be happy to do a video for you, throw you on Instagram, whatever, and we can chat. So I would love to have hand painted pinstripes put on this. That would be ideal. And then bed liner. So I want to do a spray in bed liner that's color matched to this. Right now the bed is a mess. I've been pulling dents in it for 2 years, but we'll get them all taken care of and get it all cleaned out. I want it nice and straight, and then do a spray in bed liner. And I got one little issue with the paint up here. I don't know if y'all can see that, but there's a crack in the paint. So that, I don't know when that happened, sometime this winter, and that is where the light used to be on the roof. So the patch, the weld patch and everything that we did there didn't I guess hold. So that I need to address at some point on the roof. And I'd like to do shocks all around because I think it sits a little too low in the front, and I think that's because of the shocks. So hope you enjoyed the walk around in the old truck. Like I said, she's not perfect, but I don't want her to be. I want to drive her. And she's an 84 Ford Ranger, so it is what it is. It's a fun little truck to drive. It's a good time to work on. It's easy to work on, and you don't see a lot of them in my part of the country anyways. So people see it all the time, and everybody tells me about their grandfather or their father or their uncle or somebody in the family that owned one and drove around in one. So I love hearing those stories, and it gets a lot of attention if I bring it out. People look at it, and they know what it is, and they haven't seen it in a long time. So it's a fun little truck to have, and enjoy having it. I like to show it off. If you don't follow me on @ThisOldFordRanger Ranger on Instagram, give it a follow. If you don't follow me here on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel.